Whether you're a local keen on having a crack at spearfishing or a spearo visiting this ripper of an island state, through this video I'll cover what you need to know before spearfishing around Tasmania. You do not need a license to spearfish in the ocean. However, there are size, bag and season limits you must adhere to. You will require a license if you wish to take abalone, it's cool to take them all year round, and crayfish and scallops, which have seasons. The main thing I'll be focusing on is the common fish species you're going to find. We'll cover the fish in the order you'll likely come across them, though this order will be different for everyone, depending on where you're hunting. First up, we've got wrasse. Tas fisheries blanket all wrasse together, regardless of species. The minimum size is 30 centimetres and bag limit is 5. The two most common species, purple wrasse and bluethroat wrasse, are commonly found over 30 centimetres. Yet some of the others are a much smaller breed. Some people love to eat wrasse, others dislike it. Regardless, it's likely going to be the first fish you shoot, if you're a new spearo especially. I was absolutely stoked when I shot my first couple, and they were on my birthday no less. The purple wrasse are darker colour with yellow marks along the back. Bluethroat males are noticeable with their big buffy blue heads, while the female are yellow with dark bands through their midsection. Now these guys, they actually change gender, so they all start female and then they turn male. That's the bluethroats. So you can see when they're bluethroat, they've got that big blue head. Wrasse are quite easy to hunt, quite common as well. The bluethroats, they'll come along, might check you out, might go back down, and then they usually stick their head out if they are hiding from you. They want to keep an eye on you. Pretty easy to get a bluethroat, and it's a very good beginner fish. Second is Leatherjacket. Now these guys need to be 20 centimetres at least, and you can have a bag limit of 10. Quite easy to approach, as you can see, and they like to hang around on the reef. So usually they're easy to see if you're trying to find abalone or something. Pretty good eating fish, I reckon. The third fish you're likely to shoot is the banded Morwong. Now these have a minimum size of 36 centimetres, max size of 46 centimetres, so a very tight range there. They are also restricted from the 1st of March to the end of April. Now these guys are pretty slow growing fish. They're also quite easy to shoot, so generally spear fishermen will get one early on. I try not to shoot them too often. I have shot one since I got my GoPro. Basically when I got it I couldn't shoot fish anymore, so I thought why not try and go back to the start. As you can see here I get a mowing. Anyways, yeah, slow growing and not recommended to shoot them too often if you do decide to go for it.
So another thing with the banded Morwongs, sometimes they might pop out and you might just see a bit of something. You got that vivid red-orange colour. That's likely a banded Morwong. You might see them really shallow, hiding in the weeds. Also some of the big ones might have a bit of a discoloration, like this fella here. You can also find some that, especially on the north coast, that are really white. They almost don't have red, except for like along their fins. They've got that right shape. They've got the stripes, and you see that little bit of red around the fins. That's how you make them out.
Fourth, we've got the sand flatty. So flathead's got to be Tassie's favourite fish. Minimum size 32 centimetres, and you can go take 20 of them if you want. Now not much sport in these guys, just got to spot them and plug them in the head. Pretty easy done. Very popular fish, they taste alright, easy to get. Go get some. The fifth fish is the zebrafish. Now these fish are quite pretty. There's no minimum size, bag limit of 5. Now best thing with these things is they're quite common around a lot of the reefs, and they do school, so if you can keep your eyes off the big ones, they'll come in close to check you out. Just keep those eyes down, line up your gun on the big one, and boom, sweet as. Sixth, we've got the sea sweep. Now these also have no minimum size and a bag limit of 5. Pretty tasty fish, good as sashimi or sushi. There's a few different species. This one's a yellow lip, good amount of flesh on them for the size. So yeah, pretty tasty fish, well worth having a crack at. They like hanging out where the water meets the rocks. So if you're in one of those areas that's all bubbly, you'll find them. Those fish love bubbles.
The Magpie Perch do not have a minimum size. quite common on the north coast, so if you can find a nice reef, you might be able to find yourself a dinner of magpie perch. Quite a pretty fish, not too hard to hunt. However, if you're looking for them on the east coast, they're a lot rarer. You may not find them over there. The herring cale. This is a fish I'm quite fond of. They're not really caught by line anglers, so no one really cares about them apparently. No minimum size again, maximum 5 fish. Now, I think these fish are actually really, really pretty. The males are blue, the females are yellow, but they've got some intricate patterns. Blues almost look like they've got this neon stripe on them sometimes when it catches the light, right? Anyways, with these guys, you want to get into the weeds. So if you're sitting just in the weeds, they'll usually swim above the weeds. Just sit there and stay nice and still. Try not to look at the big ones if you can, till you're ready to take the shot. If you're above the weed or beside the weed and they see you and want to hide, they'll go into the weeds and you won't find them. But if you chill out, you'll be able to get a nice one or two. Now these guys, I love them as ceviche, and I know a lot of people also love them smoked. In 9th position, I've put the Barber Perch. Again, no size limit, bag is 5. The males have a bluey colour, females have a pink. Now I've only put these on so far down because you do generally need to dive a bit of depth to find these guys, usually about 8 metres or more, although they do come in shallower sometimes. These fish are not very big, but if you're out and you've done a bunch of diving and you just want to get some lunch and you haven't seen anything, you haven't shot anything yet, I have taken, I think, 2 of these guys just when I haven't had much luck, and they do make a nice single person. At 10th we have the Trumpeter. There's 2 main species, the bastard, which needs to be 38 centimetres and has a bag limit of 5, and then there's the striped Trumpeter. Now they need to be 55 centimetres, you have a bag limit of 4. You're most likely going to see a bastard if you see a Trumpeter of size. Stripies that are coming in shallow are generally a bit small. Have been a couple of them shot on the spear as well though. Now I do say try to get a big one if you're going to get them. Don't go for 38. You want to get a little bit bigger. Try to get the 45 to 50 even. Once they do get bigger, they get like a layer of fat under the skin and they get really tasty. Very nice fish. Not too challenging to hunt, not too easy to get either. So you keep an eye out for your bastards, and if you do see a big school of stripies, just stay calm and go, alright, 55 is the minimum. Is there any big suckers in there? Because you want them big if you're going to take them. Generally you will find them schooling, sometimes they'll even school together, small stripies with the bastards. The 11th fish you're likely to shoot would be the Australian salmon, or the yellow-eyed mullet. Now I've kind of put those together because they are similar to hunt. Very different fish, very different eating, but generally they kind of like the sandy areas. They're going to be working like little crustaceans and worms and stuff. And when you do find them, they're usually in huge schools and they're fast. Now with these guys, you want to shoot ahead of the fish that you want to target. So yeah, try to think maybe about a bit more than a head's length in front of where it is. Take that shot and you should be able to get it. A bit of practice with these guys. They are really fun to hunt, both the mullets and the salmons. Salmon, I quite like them as sashimi the day you get them. Maybe the next day they're good for a poke bowl or something. After that, I'd probably want to cook it up. A lot of people don't like salmon, but a lot of people do really, really like it, the Australian salmon. As for the mullet, some people consider it bait. Other people don't mind cooking it. It's very oily, so it's got a lot of oil in that fish, and it can be quite tasty if done right. 12th we have the goatfish, also known as red mullet. I really like these guys. So there's no size, and 5's your bag limit again. With these guys, if you can get a nice sized goatfish, they are super tasty. One of the few fish I highly recommend scaling and keeping the skin on. I think the skin is delicious on a goatfish. You'll find these guys generally on the sand near the reef, and they'll be scouring for like crustaceans and stuff on there. I don't have any footage of me shooting them because I don't think I've shot them since I've had a GoPro. If I've got no gun, I can get really, really, really close to them. If I have a gun, I scare them from ages away. I haven't shot one for a while, but very tasty fish, definitely worth having a crack at, and enjoy.
Goatfish!
The 13th fish that I reckon you're likely to come across is the drummer. So I'm putting silver drummer and black drummer together. Now in Tasmania, they're not really highly recorded. The Department of Natural Resources and Environment don't have any details on them. So you can do whatever you want with drummer at this point. If you want to find drummer, they're usually hiding in caves. Or around caves. Biggest thing I'd recommend with drummer is gut them ASAP. They have stinky guts. Like all fish, you want to bleed it out in the sea. Lots of flesh on drummers. Coming in 14th, we have the Jackass Morwong. Now they are good at 25 centimetres and a bag limit of 10. We're so good at naming our fish. We have bastards, we have jackass. Now the New Zealanders call these terrakees, so if you want a nicer name, there you go, call it a terrakee. Otherwise it's our jackass. These are pretty tasty fish. They hang out a bit deeper, probably 10 metres from further. So this one that I got some footage of, he was at about 12 metres. And I just want to show, I have days when I'm a pretty rubbish shot, so it's not hard to figure out what I did wrong on these shots. But as you can see, I have bad days as well. Now this is at 12 metres, so you are at a point where, for me anyway, I can't stay down there too long. I want to get my fish pretty quick. But as you can see, eventually I got the shot. So score, it was a very, very tasty fish. Had it for brekkie the next day. 15th, I'll put the silver Trevally. Now I really like these fish. Very, very tasty as sashimi. Minimum size 20 centimetres, but they're tiny at that. You don't want to shoot them at that. And a bag limit of 10. Now, I wish I could give some hunting tips on these guys. I'm not the best at hunting them. I don't know how to find them, but when I do, I get that shot as quick as I can because they generally do get a bit flighty. When I've come across schools, I've had one opportunity, and if I get the shot, I get the shot. If I don't, I don't. I have found some big solitary ones before. I've got one on film right here. Just shoot it in the head. If you see a nice big one, make sure you get a nice shot on them. They are a very good fish. If you've got any tips for finding them and hunting them, just chuck it in the comments because I love them. My favourite.
Trevally.
Now you know the first 15 fish you're likely to find and shoot first in Tassie. It's also important to know what you shouldn't shoot. Now there's two main fish that we don't shoot in Tasmania. The first one is the boarfish. Now these guys are really cool to look at. They're like a warship full of spikes and fins, and they're really cool to see when you do see them. I think if you see them when you're spearing, just take a moment and enjoy it. They are pretty cool fish. They are easy to get close to, and I think that's the reason why we can't spear them. Second is the brim. Yep, that's the exact fish you're thinking, the common brim. Now there's no clear reason why we are not allowed to shoot them as spearos. If you're a line fisher, you can go for it. However, as spear fishermen, we cannot touch them. And spear fisherwomen, sorry. So if you're into spear fishing, no touching them brim. So I've got a bit of footage of those guys here for you just to have a look at as well. And thanks Jack K for the brim footage. I appreciate that, mate. There are a few other fish that I do not recommend you shoot. There's nothing stopping you, however, I definitely don't recommend it. Now, the first of those is the marble fish. These fish you're going to see pretty much as soon as you see a wrasse, you're probably going to see a marble fish. Now, I don't recommend listening to what people think about if a fish is crap and not worth eating. However, it's pretty unanimous that these things are not very good. If you do want to have a crack, go for it. But like anything, if you kill it, you eat it. It's a good way to be. As well as that, we've got the draft board sharks. So you're going to see these all over Tassie. I think divers consider them they're puppy dog of the sea. You know, they're so gentle and docile, and I've never had. I've seen some big ones that have been spooked by them a couple of times, but very gentle fish. So now you know the first 15 species you're likely to find and the ones to avoid. good idea when you get to Tassie is head into Services Tasmania, and you can get one of these stickers. It's got all the fish on there, tells you their sizes and bag limits, so you can have that in the car with you. They've also got an app, so if you've got a smartphone, you can get the Tasfish app, and through that it's got a map, so you can look at where you're going and see if there's any restrictions for where you plan on diving. So there might be no ab zones, don't take sharks, etc. That way you can follow all the rules. It's also important to not go overboard with spearfishing. You might hit a spot and there could be hundreds of really good eating fish, and you might get a bit bloodthirsty and go to take them all. We don't want to give ourselves a bad name as Spearos, so just take what you need. If you've got a family or you've got some friends you're going to be with, maybe shoot enough for them to eat that day or maybe over the next couple of days, but don't go shooting heaps of fish. When people see someone coming out of the water with a heap of dead fish, it doesn't look good for us. If you don't have a wetsuit yet, you're not sure about wetsuits, there's a big debate there. You can do some research, but a 5mm open cell is what you want. So I use a Wetty brand, which is a New Zealand brand. It's been fine, I've got no complaints with that, so I'd recommend those. As for your spear, you could use a hand spear if you're a badass, go for it. I use a Rob Allen 90cm, which that's plenty good for most spearfishing that I've done. Occasionally I would want a bit extra range, but you can just get close to the fish or not get the fish. Always good to find a buddy. So if you're coming with a friend, that's fantastic. The water's always safer with a mate. If you don't have a buddy, you can check Tasmanian, which is a Facebook group. I'll put a link to that. Great page, good for finding other people in the area who want to get in spearfishing. If you haven't done a freediving course and you're not too experienced in the water, definitely recommend doing that. So there are freediving courses that do go in Tasmania. And for location, so you know what you want to shoot, you've got your gear, and where do you go? If you're on the east coast, you're pretty spoiled. Just look at the swell. So if you've got a northerly swell, go to a south-facing beach. Have a good look at the maps, figure some beaches or rocky areas that looks like good for a shore dive, and just go in if the swell's in your favour. You could even dive every day of the month in winter if you wanted to on the east coast. If you've got a boat, all the better. If you've got a mate with a boat, that's fantastic, but it is pretty easy to find a good spot for a good dive. And do remember, if you're exploring and you hit a place and you don't shoot anything, just getting out and having a bit of fun and exploring, you might see something epic and awesome that you've never seen before. And so that's something really cool about finding new places, maybe even diving places people haven't dove before. So always get out and explore. So thanks for watching this video. I hope it's given you a good foundation to start spearfishing in Tasmania, get in the waters, find some good fish. Who knows, you might even see some species that aren't on this list that I've talked about today. If you've enjoyed it, give us a like, give us a subscribe, and you'll see more Tassie spearing videos. Also, leave a comment, if you've got any questions, fire them away. And if you've got any advice for new spearos, chuck it down there, and maybe they'll see that as well after they watch the video. Well, thanks again for watching. Have a good one.